wondering if we're going to be able to get these map bans up anytime soon, though, to be honest, because again, that's ultimately gonna really count in where this is gonna, how this is gonna go, where this is gonna go, especially because we've seen so much Oregon, things like that.
Hmm.
Clubhouse was starting to come through, but as we can see, Clubhouse getting banned out there by Gypsy Queens, Cafe in Oregon also going, and we're going to Villadino.
Wow, Villa. Okay, that's a big map, very complicated, lots of intricate moving parts that both teams need to deal with. As you say, they made mistakes in the previous weeks on objectively slightly easier maps to deal with in terms of team coordination. So this is going
Mm.
to be a really big challenge for both of these guys. But I'm expecting this to be quite a fun showing between them.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, to be fair as well, when you think about a map like Villa, because it's so large and with the amount of map control you have to gain on the attack and also keep on the defense, I'm really curious to see how that roam clear is going to come through and how that roam game is going to be played by both these teams, to be honest. Because
Hmm.
again, especially on the side of Nemesis, there are players who they can have a very, very strong roam game if given the opportunity to do so. But on a larger map, could that bite them in the back of the ankle a little bit? Because again, if you're not doing a duo roam as an example on such a large map and no one's there for the refrag, are you just giving players away essentially if they come in as like a 5 stack one-dimensional push through that map? So it's the interesting thing about Villa, isn't it? It's kind of like
Yeah.
you again, it really does depend on how that defensive extension is, in my opinion. You can't just stay on site on such a big map. You're just giving away all that control for free otherwise. But as I say, you need to have at least two people on the roam if you are going to extend.
Yeah, absolutely. And sort of another big part of how Villa plays out is, as I mean, that's how every map plays out, is going to come down to the map bans and well, not the map bans, the operator bans. Because
Mm,
on something like a Villa, if you ban out a Nomad or you take away a lot of those claymores, then that makes that flanking opportunity from the defenders so much greater. If you get rid of a hard breacher, it makes it so much more difficult for them to get on into the objective. And it's just that balance that you see going back and forth between, and it can
mm.
drastically change sort of the map that we actually get to see played.
Absolutely, and again, with the destructibility of a lot of these sites, especially on that top floor, even you can use, for example, on kitchen, you can go upstairs and clear that first and shoot things out where you need to,
Hmm.
if you are bringing the right utility. It's again this idea that it is one of those maps really where it doesn't matter too much about those like Maverick Thatcher combos when it comes to those bands as well, because you can just ultimately take like a buck or something with some kind of soft breach utility and just shoot the floors open to clear some of that kind of counter hard breach utility. So yeah, I completely agree with you really. And yeah, the Nomad I think will be a strong one again. We have seen quite a lot of Nomad use, and I think certainly on a map like Villa, yeah, I think that would be very, very important. I'm also curious to see if we're going to see a little bit of clash action on the defense, to be honest, because yeah, I certainly think that we might see something like that.
Yeah.
Especially for sites like Aviator and Games, I wouldn't be too surprised if they decided to bring that kind of utility out just to hold long 90. um Again, it can be very, very powerful, but again, it's that duo play which will make it most effective, and this is what I want to see from both teams. I want to see them getting these like duo plays off where one of them, yeah, fair enough, if one of them is a clash and then one of them's just like jiggle peeking behind it, it's so difficult to deal with that, especially if you've got any kind of utility to get rid of grenades, flashes, things like that as well, like a Wamai Magnet or a Jaeger ADSs. So it is going to be an interesting one, really. We are going to get into the game soon. We are just waiting for the final player of Nemesis to join in. I think they're just sorting out their skins, which is very sensible because we don't want to see the awkward rehost, as you realize that someone's wandering around in some kind of like ember eyes or something.
Yeah, it's when the drone goes in, sees someone, and they just see like Ella skins, and you just hear this one pistol shot as Ella. Oh, all right, okay, rehost after this one
Yeah.
then.
You do love to see it, but no, we are going to get stuck in. And again, Villa, I think don't want to jinx it, but I am going to say the word, Dino. I am going to say the word. I do think
uh,
this is going to be a barn burner, a
oh,
barn burner, certified barn burner. Again,
at
very
least it's not a
excited.
ploughman sandwich. That's all I'm saying.
Do you know what? You leave my plowman sandwich out of it. We probably will end up going to Clubhouse this evening, though. At
Hmm.
some point, I do feel it in my jellies that we are going to end up on a Clubhouse because it is a safe map for people. But the fact that we're going to Villa is going to be very, very exciting indeed. Um, especially as the opening game for this evening. And it's again, as I say, these next 3 play days are where the spice is going to be. So we all really want to be paying attention to what these teams are doing and ultimately how they're achieving that Dubbington. Don't you laugh at me.
I had a whole point I was gonna make. I had like a contribution to the conversation, and you say Dubbington, and it just flies out of my head.
Dubbington. You gotta get that Dubbington. Everyone knows what I mean by that. Don't you worry.
Yeah.
Dubbington.
Well, yeah, everyone is after that Dubbington indeed. But I mean, one big thing that I think would be quite interesting, you mentioned the clubhouse, is when we get to that final game of the night between the top
Mm.
two in the standings, something like a clubhouse or an Oregon, nice even playing field to really see where those two teams, in terms of individual quality, can go up against each other. That I think would be pretty exciting. But going
Mm.
for a larger map, a more complex map in some of the other matches is definitely sometimes far more interesting to watch.
Yeah, with that final matchup, I completely agree. But I do feel like at this point,
Mm.
Frenemy will be wanting to not go to Oregon again. They've been there pretty much every night. So I think that again, because it's mid-season, this is where they need to bring the spice, and I do want to see them. A coastline would be quite nice, to be honest. But I know that's just me being wishful because I do like the coastline
You're
matchups.
the
But
only one who likes coastline,
I'm
Grace.
literally the only
The
person on the
only one.
entire planet that seems to love. Like I just love like it's just coastline. This is a good map. Okay, it's good. It's aggressive. It's fast. You can do the most ratty plays, and I'm all about those ratty plays. Rat Queen Grace is what it is. It's
Most
what it
people
is.
don't like it because of the ratty plays.
But
Uh,
they're just scared. It's cowardice. That is
Cowardice.
cowardice. Don't fear the rat.
Gracie putting the
Embrace
whole
it.
scene on watch by calling them out for being cowards. That is not how I thought this stream would start, but
No. There's the rest of this tournament, and I'm good. Okay, there we are. So all the teams watching this back, I want to see the coastline plays. I want to see you all be rats. I want to see that happen. But ultimately, first, what we do need to see happen, Dino, is this matchup between Nemesis and Gypsy Queens on Villa. I do believe we're about to get stuck in very soon. As I say it, we're not getting stuck in. Something else has happened, so we do love to see that.
yeah, sitting here waiting for the lobby to kick off. Both teams are saying that they're ready, so we're getting on into the action in just a moment. But Grace, before we do, real quick, I want to hear 4 operator names, and that's it. Who's getting banned?
Okay, Thatcher off the bat. That was an easy one,
Yeah,
wasn't
of
it?
course.
Thatcher, Ace, Mirror, maybe a Valkyrie.
Oh,
That's what I'm saying. That's what
I,
I'm saying.
I think the Falcon Thatcher I agree with. I don't think we'll see the Ace and Mirror bans have kind of fallen by the wayside recently, and I like that. It really changes up how some of these sites are played, particularly Aviator games. You can really do a lot of interesting stuff with those mirrors there to make it easier on the defenders. But it's going to be Nemesis starting us off and Jackal.
Oh,
Oh,
that is interesting. Okay, so again, based on the fact that they're starting on defense, we can assume that they really don't want that Jackal anywhere near them. We're going to see hopefully a very strong roam game from them then. But again, Dino, I want to be checking for that duo roam. Will someone be there for the refrag, or will they allow themselves to be picked off? And oh, there's that Nomad ban actually, which is quite interesting because then again that utility is completely off the board. But realistically, Gypsy Queen starting on attack, do they want to be banning out the Nomad this early? They got to go 6 rounds on this attack, Dino.
yeah. Looking at these bans so far, it's just a roamer's paradise. That Valkyrie getting taken rid of, it makes things a little bit easier on the attack. You don't have to worry about those cams, which can provide so much information to aid both the roamers and the site players. And Valkyrie's just become a very standard ban on basically every single map in the game at this point.
Mm.
And let's see what that final ban is. Is it going to be the mirror? Is it going to be something slightly different? But nope. Nemesis going to play it safe. Get rid of the mirror. No more fun, mirror strategies inside the objectives anymore for us, Grace.
No, not indeed. But again, Dino, that is me getting 2 out of 4, so I will take those coins now. Moving into round 1, let's see where Nemesis are going to start things off. Then, shall we? Probably. Oh, that actually signed trophy statue. Don't get to see that often. Usually, people tend to start around the aviator area. But again, this will be an interesting thing. I want to see whether or not they do the classic of the extension into the bedroom, or whether they completely seal up that wall. The smoke I'm going to expect maybe potentially in the closet area again. This looks like a relatively standard setup, which is good because from what we've seen of Nemesis so far, when they go a little bit more standard with things, they tend to do very, very well. They tend to play it by the book and they can knuckle down and get that defense underway. On the same time, though, Thatcher is on the board and we are seeing Gypsy Queens bring it.
Yeah, Thatcher and all hard breaches are on the board, so it should make things a little bit easier for the attack to deal with the actual site push. So I expect those takes to be quite strong, which makes this site to me a little bit weaker because you can just directly attack this wall, generally deal with the bandit tricking quite easily as well, just double EMP and not a lot the bandit can do. We do see the buck coming through, so they could just go below and deal with that if they want to go for the map control, but for the most part, I'm thinking that Gypsy Queens should be able to get at least a decent start going on this attack. Just really, if they can get master bedroom control quickly, then they'll be in a really strong position to close out the round.
Yeah, absolutely. Completely agree. And again, though, I would like to see a second layer of pressure maybe coming from the kind of south area, but we do see Selena over there on the sledge, so that could be quite an interesting one. But again, it does appear that she's isolated, so that could be a little bit of a concern depending on how much extension the defense now do, Dino, because again, if she's caught off guard, could be quite nasty.
Yeah, nasty indeed. Sledge providing a lot of utility. Those frag nades could be useful in forcing players off of the wall. It is just the bandit there for the wall denial, so they don't have to worry about a long distance Cade being thrown over after those first layer of bandits gets removed, but still having those nades to be able to attack onto the site is useful. Toxic Barbie actually going to get taken down. That's going to be yellow with the opening frag here as the defense already on the back foot. A good angle coming through. And that's going to be the smoke. 30 seconds of plant denial off the board within the first minute.
Absolutely, and again, that is going to be a bit of a predicament for them because, as you say, it's not just a plant denial, it's also preventing that final collapse into the site as well. Yellow is going to follow up with a second one onto Rice Ball Chen as well. Already on a little bit of a gun streak right now. And all this utility is going to come through. We hear the X-Kairos going. Sashi, however, Dino, on the little flank there, taking down Stelina before they can cause any more ruckus towards the Astro stairs.
Yeah, absolutely. My clean feed has gone, Grace. You will have to talk us through the rest of this round.
That is fine. I will talk you through the rest of the round. We're going to see a magnet get thrown out as those X-Kairos do their job, opening the middle of that wall. That's going to open probably not a place to rotate through, but a nice little peek hole. Skylar is also going to get a peek of her own onto X-Peloton there. That is now whittling this down to a 4v2. It's all left down to Natty and Sasha here. They do have some utility. I am assuming Sasha might have the C4, so there's that in the pocket. If they need it, they can try and play a bit more passively and just win their ones, essentially, Dino. But there we go. Skylar's going to take down Natty. It's all left down to Sasha now. Does she have the C4? We are going to see that plant come through there by yellow. A little bit too late, I think. Yep, there we go. Oh, she doesn't actually have C4 either. She's got 2 impacts. That's unfortunate. Yeah, very, very little you can do in this situation, though, to be honest.
And especially not when Skylar is just running around downstairs as that buck. Going to be able to get that close out frag in the round as my clean feed has now returned. So a strong start from the attack, but that's kind of expected, I think, given the bans and the site. That statue trophy with all the hard breach potential going the way of the attackers just isn't, to me, a strong pick. Something like a kitchen, in my opinion, is going to be one of the stronger sites for the defense in this matchup.
But they are indeed choosing to go back to trophy statue as well, so that's going to be an interesting one. Again, perhaps it's due down to that little bit of a roster mix-up that they're going through at the moment. They're just playing more for the practice and fun side, but again, would like to see, again, especially some of these operators with that really important utility. And if we've just seen the Wamai get swapped out for the Vigil, and I'm really not sure how I feel about that, to be honest, because again, you die as the Wamai, your magnets are still on the board. You die as the Vigil, your utility is completely gone. No one can use that. It does not benefit the team whatsoever.
Yeah, you have to be a very effective Vigil player for, well, Vigil to be effective, especially in a comp setting. You have to be able to get those frags, get into those gunfights, and really be a nuisance for the attackers. And with this site, with this setup, and with this attacking lineup, they don't need to worry about clearing out a lot of the map. They do take that downstairs control just so they can 100% get the bandits off the wall and stop the bandit train. But you can do that in relative safety. You know, when they start to push up the Astro stairs and attack onto the objective that way, that's just an added bonus. They don't realistically need to do that to have a strong and effective take on this objective. And to me, that is one of the reasons why Vigil, beyond just a bit of selfish utility, is quite weak on this particular objective.
Yeah, completely agree with you. Again, the attacks have those EMPs as well. It's not like they have to go up the Astro to, or even get the bug from underneath. Good to have the flexibility, though. Looks like they're gonna go for a relatively similar approach. I think we're probably gonna see, you know, Yazia and Notachi start to attack this bedroom area. I think they're also aware of Sashi there on the roam, but she is indeed falling back to sight. So again, at this point, you can assume for Skylar and co that they can make their safe entry upstairs if they wanted to, but it looks like they're going for the same approach. And we're not really seeing any adaptation there from the defenders to kind of guess that that push may be coming from the same place again.
Yeah, drones coming on through. Toxic Barbie this time not going to be sitting in such, or the same position as before, so not going to get taken down nice and early on. So again, those smoke canisters being able to be used later on into the round. A little bit of pre-fire coming through as the Yana has been brought to the table. And yeah, just a slower setup, I feel, this time coming through from Gypsy Queens, as they're making sure they can get that wall open, as they haven't been able to secure that opening pick inside a bathroom.
Yeah, with half the round gone, no one's died on either side yet. It's a very patient round coming through from Gypsy Queens, but also a very patient round coming from Nemesis. They're not over-peaking, they're not overextending as much. Although, speaking of overextension, I'm slightly concerned about how far on a roam Nadi has gone there. But again, maybe this is going to cause a little bit of a time waste, and it's going to prevent that push up the Astro stairs as well, as they have to hunt her down, essentially. They have to go for the hunt.
Yeah, we do see Sledge downstairs trying to cause a bit of havoc as Nadi is waiting around trying to hold this off angle. Sitting on the stairs with a quick rotate capability down into the basement. Could potentially, but no, Nadi going to rotate around, try and get inside of that library area. And just gets taken down. Nice shot coming through from the Buck there.
Yeah, Skyly on a little bit of a tear this game already, and again, we're only 2 rounds in, so that's very interesting. Yes is going to get a pick onto Rice Ball Chen as well, whittling down this defense ever more. They need to go for the collapse ideally, though. 30 seconds on the clock, and they're starting to make their way up Astro as well. They have a little bit of bedroom control. Toxic Barbie and Expolitan, however, are going to get a little bit aggressive with it, taking out Skylar and Yazia. Stelina and Yellow are going to trade that back, though. And once again, it's all left down to Sashi here on the Ella this time, and that plant is going down, Dino.
Yeah, Ella with the shotgun trying to rotate up those Astro stairs. Sneaking up just a little bit closer. There is one inside of Astro right next to her. The peak coming on around. Oh, not the shotgun. Looked like the shotgun for a second. The spray not going to come on through. Trying to turn and get away, but it's going to be the kill coming through for the Sledge to secure the second round for the attackers.
Yeah, indeed. And to be fair, 2 rounds in a row on attack on Villa nonetheless. It's good going. If Nemesis go to trophy again now, I'm throwing a fit about it, to be honest. But no, thankfully they are indeed going to go to Aviator Games. I think that's a sensible decision. I think they've wasted too many chances here on this trophy site, so they need to probably try and avoid it for the rest of the way until it comes back around the full rotation. Again, the alibi, we're seeing a lot of alibi this tournament, and I'm 100% here for it. I absolutely love that. It's, yes, all about it. Love the utility, love the gun, love the secondary, love the way that can bait a lot of players, especially if they decide to start getting aggressive, which realistically, Skylia and Stelina, they are on a bit of an aggressive one at the moment. Could catch them a little bit off guard. Could be sneaky here. Could be very, very sneaky indeed. Obviously, you get the shield as well, which is going to be very, very useful depending on where they're going to put that. It looks like they're putting it in that classic kind of elbow spot there at the top of main stairs. So again, an oldie but a goodie. It's these standard plays that I like to see Nemesis do, because I do think it improves their chances, because then they can just focus on, okay, we've got the basics covered, we can just focus on winning our ones.
Yeah, and win your ones is going to be the big thing for Nemesis here. Is, you know, we do see 2 players who don't have a kill through these first 2 rounds, and realistically you need to be able to just win a single gunfight against the guys over on Gypsy Queen, because that's how they're playing. They're getting that little bit of control, and then they're pushing and going for those fights with the information. Nemesis needs to be able to fight back and put a stop to that push and that aggression, to really start to be successful. But again, this is another objective where in reality, Gypsy Queen don't need to obtain too much map control just by the way of the operator bans and the operators that are being brought. They can get those study walls open from outside on the balcony with a little bit of pressure, maybe downstairs inside of that main lobby piano kind of area, which they're already droning out and seeing is perfectly clear for the Bucks to be able to go in and take control of. So this is going to make things really difficult yet again for the defenders to hold on to, as you know, already 45 seconds on into the round, good headway being made by the attackers to start getting these walls open.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, they are being pretty fast with the approach in the majority of the times, and that was a very, very nasty little sneak up there coming through from Yellow, taking on Expolitan. Sashi's going to get 2 Vodino for her service there on the roam. Kind of extended roam pulling off a little bit.
Yeah, no flank watch in place means that Sassy's able to just rotate around downstairs inside the library, get that double kill, and that's the Buck and the Sledge gone. So that's a lot of that verticality and 2 frag nades off the board. They are still going to have frag nades in Yellow's pockets, but now with the man count advantage finally in the favor of Nemesis, this is looking like a good round for them as the alibi. She was prone, hiding behind one of her own holograms, and I was worried for a second that, oh no, that was the Legion prone behind one of Alibi's holograms, so I was worried for a second that could go badly, as Yellow is going to get that kill onto Sassy, so no more flanks going to come on through from her.
No more flanks indeed, and a 3v3 with a lot of time to work with for the attack right now. They are in a very comfortable position. They've got the defenders fully pushed back towards site pretty much. These lines of sight that they've opened getting a little bit used against them there. Yazzie taking a lot of damage there. But again, I want to see maybe a little bit of a rotate. And Natty getting aggressive with it, but she's going to fall. That's so unfortunate. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
That's a triple kill for the Yana in the round now, though. About 40 seconds left on the clock as Toxic Barbie's finally going to get rid of Yellow. Now it's really just up to the Statue sitting outside on the balcony. Both of these defenders are going to know where she is, but the down comes through. That's the Legion down on the ground. There is the potential now to run on in, get your teammate, but this will give Toxic Barbie as well the opportunity to go for the revive if she's aware of what's going on. But no, she chooses to play safe, starts to push on up and going for the revive late. This could give the Gypsy Queens an opportunity to rotate around and try and go for this play. Brilliant shot coming through from the ace. That's one going down. It's Toxic Barbie to get the kill onto the statue. It's now just the ace going for the plant. HP is low for the last remaining attacker, but the diffuser is now down on the ground. Toxic Barbie waiting, gonna reload, get a full mag in and make sure that she has all the opportunities and chances to know where this last remaining player is. It's likely that they'll be hiding behind the bar. That's something that she's going to know. That's a typical plant spot. Peeking on around, sees the angle, hits the headshot, and that is going to be Nemesis winning their first round of a 1 versus 2 clutch from the Jaeger.
Yeah, indeed. And again, that's got to feel pretty good at this point because it was getting a little bit spooky for them. And they can start to try and pull it back now on this defense. At the same time, I respect the fact that the Gypsy Queens went for the plant. They fully went for the plant and they forced for time into their favor. It's just, yeah, ultimately in a 1v1, only one person can win, Dino.
Yeah.
Who would have thought?
Well, generally that's how the game works, Grace.
Who would have thought? I do feel that, again, it started good with the aggression that we saw, but then some of the aggression then kind of caught them a little bit off guard on both sides. I think some of the times that people were being a bit too bolshy with it, especially on the side of the defense. They had the fact that the attackers had to approach them. They could have just held angles. And we did see people get tagged up a lot just from being a little bit overzealous with it, to be honest, you know. But ultimately, they won that round out, so hats off to them. They are going to go down to kitchen now. And we are going to see the castle as well. I'm assuming that those castle barricades are going to be utilized upstairs, but we will see where Sashi decides to put them. It looks like one potentially in laundry here. No?
Yeah. No? Maybe?
Yes, no, maybe so.
A lot of decision making going on here. I just want to talk about that last round a little bit and sort of break down some things that I thought, because we saw some, what both teams go for rotations and aggressive pushes, as you mentioned, but it was the defenders you know, particularly Sassy and Toxic Barbie. Toxic Barbie did a late flank round to challenge onto Long, and that was what was able to get the kill onto Yellow, which
Mm.
ultimately led to them winning the round. But it's that ability to realize that, okay, Nomad's gone. This entire push coming through from GYPSY is one directional. If we can play around, you know, the site and really challenge onto these players when they're not expecting it, because the flank watch from GYPSY Queens isn't really there in quite the way that you would want it to. So Nemesis need to do that, and that's one of the big disadvantages of going to Statue Trophy is you can't flex those roaming muscles in quite the same way.
Yeah, completely agree. Completely agree.
Ooh.
I mean, speaking of roaming muscles, we are going to see Expolitan tucked up tight here against that kind of aviator wall. Oh, but she's going to get taken down, however, by Notachi. That is most unfortunate. I think maybe a little bit of a sound cue revealing her position then. Very, very unfortunate.
I
Again, want
really
to see
wanted
more
that
of
to
these.
work.
Yeah, me too, to be honest. I was like, this is a really nice ratty angle. We know how I feel about those ratty angles, but Yellow getting again. What Yellow is so aggressive this game. Skylia, however, is going to take down Toxic Barbie. Yellow hasn't quite managed to land a pick just yet, but the aggression we're seeing from her this game so far. Wow, she's hungry for it, Dino.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a really good start for GYPSY Queens, but this is where I find a lot of teams start to struggle. You've got that top floor control, and especially in this case, you've got those opening picks and the man advantage. But these angles that you can gain from upstairs, they aren't as good as quite a lot of teams, quite a lot of players think they're going to be. There's a lot of safe spots for the defenders to sit, and Nemesis can just ride out a lot of this time by just playing smart with their positioning. Realistically, we're going to need to see GYPSY start to have a real impact onto the objective, and soon otherwise things like that can happen as the C4 comes on out from the mute, and that's going to be the Buck taken down. And now getting this door open is going to be really difficult without using some hard breach utility. So just going to go for the wall for now.
Yes, indeed, and that leaves it in a little bit of an awkward situation because, again, it's the fact that if you are going to now push through Laundry to go to that door by Gramophone, it's going to get a little bit awkward because, I mean, they've got that long line of sight themselves now on the defense. Yellow, once again, just push. Like, she is so hungry for it. And again, absolutely just going for this push by herself, applying that extra pressure for her team. Ooh. Sasha, however, is going to say, no, thank you, Yellow, I see you. Riceball Chen as well, taking down Yazia. It's all left down to Notachi here. They don't have the diffuser, and again, this could be the time for Nemesis to get maybe a little bit aggro with it if they wanted to.
Yeah, quick peek potentially coming through from the mute, and that's going to be the case. Nemesis getting another round on the board. That aggression yet again being a big thing into winning this round. But as well, they had, you know, GYPSY Queens had that top floor control at 1:45, and they were only starting to push onto the objective with 30 seconds to go. That's 1:15 really just gone, and that's just going to make things so much easier for the defenders. And after losing 2 rounds in the way that they did to come back in this way, Nemesis potentially poised to be able to string a couple of these rounds together and really start to build up some momentum.
I think it's interesting as well that obviously they're getting this they're getting their setup like relatively nice on the side of GYPSY Queens. They're getting their setup around site. It's that final collapse. It's not there really, especially in that last round. Like, it wasn't quite as structured as it could be. You know, you had 3 players, and you could have easily gone for maybe a little bit of a one of you going down Astro stairs, as example, or applying extra pressure onto Kitchen. But at this point, you know, time was running out, so maybe they just thought like, oh, we're gonna have to go for a one-dimensional collapse, and I don't think that works as well, especially on the side like that. However, Nemesis going back to Trophy, which they haven't actually won yet. So this again will be interesting to see how they fare here, to be honest. Both teams on 2 rounds apiece. It's really, really difficult to actually predict how this is going to go at this point.
10 seconds left before insertion.
Yeah, I could expect to see a 3-3 half coming out here as Nemesis, just given their track record, given the fact that they've stuck Natty on that vigil yet again, I'm feeling that unfortunately this might wind up being a lost round for them. But then GYPSY Queens, they're going to have to attack onto an objective that they've already lost an attack on, so it's going to make things a bit more challenging as we get on into that 6th round. But we've still got round 5 to deal with for now, as GYPSY Queens again making some good time getting up onto the balcony, clearing out all the basic angles and getting these windows open and prepared for the wall breach. A nice drone coming through from Skylia to hold some of that downstairs rotations to make things a little bit easier for when they want to go and get that downstairs control.
Yeah, absolutely, and it does seem like they are really relying on that kind of vertical, soft destructibility, um, especially from the buck. Well, as I say that, the buck's actually gonna fall, so I guess they're not gonna be able to utilize that skeleton key at all. The little flank coming through there by the side of Nemesis. Again, though, we're seeing this duo hold, it seems, from Natty and Toxic Barbie, which is exactly how I wanted them to play that roam game.
Yeah, Toxic Barbie, those first 2 rounds trapped inside of the site as the smoke didn't really go well. Now that she's been able to stretch her legs a little bit, go for a runabout, and really cause some havoc, things have been looking on the up for Nemesis, as that's going to be Ricebell Chen getting the kill onto the Thatcher, and Expoliton with a nice headshot onto Yellow, prone behind the desk. A difficult angle to contest, as now things getting very difficult for the attackers. Unaware, Expoliton runs right into the waiting arms of Stylina, as this is now a 4 versus 2. Still a big mountain to climb for the attackers, as the Sledge is well known over on these Astro stairs. And that's going to be the ace going down the peak, and the knife coming through. Sledge is able to get one back onto Natty. That was the flanker downstairs. But this last peak, Ricebell Chen is going to be able to get that kill, and Nemesis actually able to hold on to Statue Trophy Grace. We didn't think they could do it.
No, I will confess, it seemed like maybe it wasn't a good sight for them. But no, they are gonna get the dub there. And again, this is gonna be their last defending round. So ideally, they do want to be getting this final round in the bag on their defense as well. Typically, it is more of a defender-sided map. And again, as we were mentioning earlier, those bans, they really do seem to favor the defenders a little bit more. It's again that absolutely insane kind of roam game you can bring with those bans, but at the same time, we haven't seen that roam game until just that last round. I'm wondering how things would have gone if they had that same style of roam play from the get-go, which is what we did indeed want to see. But again, maybe it was more down to just playing it a little bit safe in those first 2 rounds, that they just thought, you know what, we'll just be a bit more safe with it. But again, a map like Villa, I don't think, you've got all that playroom to deal with, haven't you? It's like a absolutely massive playing ground, and you can be a bit bolshy with it, you can be a bit cheeky with it, you can go a little bit dangerous. You gotta live dangerously,
Well, live a little dangerous, But yeah, I mean, just particularly, I sort of pointed out in the round, Toxic Barbie, the first 2 rounds, she says that on site died relatively early. The whole thing falls apart that last round. And even in the first round that they won back on Aviator Games, she was aggressive. She moved around the map, so did Sassy, and they were just able to get a lot done. And I think that that's going to be the big key for them here. Are they able to stay mobile and stay aggressive with these players?
That's absolutely it. And again, this is interesting. Gypsy Queens are actually choosing to go for a one-dimensional southern push to this Aviator game side. There's no pressure coming through from that bedroom. We are going to see the Blitz, however, I believe that was, downstairs. So that's going to be a main stairs push coming through from Skylia there on the Blitz, which could be a little bit spicy. We don't have that elbow shield as we would have seen last time either. They have mixed it up a little bit. There's a lot of different utility going on there as well. And they do have those smokes this time to cover for the plant as well if they do want it. But this is very, very naughty. I like this a lot, to be honest. I think fair enough. It's your last attacking round. Just go for it. It's again those ratty plays, that I like to talk about. And there's nothing rattier than a giant riot shield with a flash utility on it.
The Siege is one of Siege's least favorite operators. In full force, just absolutely sprinting at you. These Aruna gates are going to do a really good job of slowing down the push, though, as that gate will need to be disabled before they can fully push on into the site. And that's going to slow down Skylia's play. We are seeing 2 players sitting inside of the vault. Expoliton down below could potentially cause some havoc on that Thunderbird. A late rotation can do so much here, as this wall is going to start to get opened up fully. And it's the Thatcher with Diffuser in hand, so it's not going to be Skylia running in behind the bar to quickly go for a plant and ruin everyone's day, but they've got to hold down this long 90 angle. It's going to be up to the Sledge. It's going to deal a little bit of damage onto Expoliton, but not enough to get the kill or the down, as Yellow is going to go down to Natty. That flanking Aruni able to do a lot of work.
And there's that smoke though, but I'm not seeing anyone quite go for the flank yet. I'm wondering if that's a little bit of a bait to see if there's any C4s there to deal with the potential of a plant coming through. And Sashi, however, is going to take down Itachi there, as she is called to potentially go for the plant and execute, but that is shut down. And Stelina, beautiful shot there onto Sashi.
Attackers recovered the bomb diffuser.
Diffuser has been recovered. The swing coming through from the sledge isn't going to get that first kill, and Natty with the crossfire is able to take down Skylina. And now it is just this ace left alone. A repeat of round number 3, but it's not a 1v1, it's a 1 versus 3. And there comes the C4. Ricebell Chen able to secure that, and that's going to be 4 rounds now going the way of the defenders. Something that we, looking at those first 2 rounds, didn't really think was possible.
No, I mean, yeah, the first 2 rounds were a little bit unfortunate. Again, I think I do favor it more when teams they lose that first sight and they decide to not touch it again. But nobody decided to go back. Maybe second time's a charm. And again, I think they were too safe with it for those first 2 rounds. I think if they played a bit more ballsy with it like they did in the final 4 rounds, we maybe would have seen like a 6-0 there. Maybe. I mean, again, they seem to play a better roam game when they are together, as I said at the start of this evening. But this attack is going to be an interesting one, because again, those bans really do favor the defenders a little bit more. And I'm really curious to see what GYPSY Queens themselves are going to do now, especially in terms of extension. And they're bringing the Thunderbird and Aruni Gates themselves here. So NEMESIS obviously bringing that as their final defensive rounds, and now it's going to be utilized against them. You would expect them to kind of know how to deal with that.
Yeah, absolutely. But as we are looking at this setup again, the attackers, they have the choice of the hard breaches that they want, and they've decided that the answer to that is yes. As we are seeing an ace, a Hibana, and a Thermite coming through. So I want to see NEMESIS at least get 1 wall open. That's kind of my goal for this round. If they don't, that would be not good, I think is the right way to say that.
Not good.
Not good.
Diplomatic.
You know me, Grace, ever the diplomat.
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah.
We are going to see. I like the fact that they are going for this second dimension. It's like, again, getting that map control and watching out for any kind of extended flank, any kind of ratty plays. Again, ratty plays, and they're utilizing the Claymore utility too. This already seems like a very safe approach by NEMESIS. They just have to keep their eye on the time, because that's the main thing that could bite them in the butt a little bit here, is if they just run out of time and they're not moving at a quick enough, speed through this map.
I saw Skylina wanting to go for that vault up. The Claymore was there. That is a window where, like, strangely it feels like you have a lot of time when you go for that jump out, so you can generally get the kill, or at least a lot of damage before you actually hit that Claymore. So potentially could have been worth it. A little bit of a risky peek leaning the wrong way coming through from the Hibana, but it's not going to amount to a kill for the defense just yet. Zexpolitan is here to support as well. The drone's starting to come on through. A bit of a slower take here for NEMESIS than we were seeing from GYPSY Queen, especially when it comes to these hard breaches.
Yeah, definitely, especially when you consider that they're pushing with a hard breach from each kind of angle. On this approach, you've got Sashia to the northeast, and you've also got the ace to the south. Ricebell Chen, however, going to start this off with a nice little pick there onto Stelina, of all people. Yellow, however, kind of retaliate by taking down Sasha, so that's 1 hard breacher off the board. That hard breach utility really can only be utilized now from this study side. So this approach has to come ultimately from that study side now, Dino. They have to get this control, and they have to go for the execute.
Toxic Barbie, unaware of Yellow's location. The aggression coming through from the Jaeger might be rewarded with 1 more with this absolute timing. If Yellow stands up, she could have seen, but no, the crouch around is going to be the case. Could be the long flank coming through. And sees the legs. Yeah, that's going to be a kill going the way of the defenders. A little bit messy, but it's going to be Nutty on the other side of the map to clean things up and even out a little bit, as Expolitan now throws the man advantage in favor of the attackers. Another Claymore going down, stop any rotations into study later on. As now these last 2 defenders, Notchi is still inside the site, and Yellow, there's going to be a ping going on out. Kaid is going to be able to get that first kill. Yellow with a great repeat back, taking down Ricebell Chen, and now it's just Nadi, that twitch with the F2 that can deal so much damage and pain and destruction, but with a lot to do and not a lot of time to do it in. The jump on in kind of come on out. The Kaid is going to go down, but now the A can go for the rotation. The peak coming through as they're aware that the push had happened, but unaware of where Yellow was playing, and that is going to be the defenders getting another round.
That is really unfortunate. That was really, really unfortunate. Good effort on both sides there, but ultimately, yeah, only one person can come out of that alive. It's going to be, I don't know, it's going to be an interesting one because, again, I think that, you know, the first Playday, we didn't really see any overtime. Last week, we saw some overtime. Perhaps we're just going to have a big evening of overtime here. We'll see what happens. Again, for the most part, we're seeing a lot of 7-4 scorelines, but this one just feels a lot closer, to be honest. You know, this one feels like it could go to overtime.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's part of the good nature of Villa in that the defense is so strong, both for both teams, that it can generally wind up going all the way, and you can see a lot of 15-round games on Villa, and we might be in for that kind of treat here unless Nemesis are able to really get their ideas going and get something moving, or if Gypsy Queens are able to pull off a perfect defense from here on out.
Yeah, absolutely. I do love the fact that, again, we're seeing a lot of this Thunderbird utility be used already in this season, despite it being very, very new. You know, sometimes people don't really want to mess around with those new operators, that new utility, but so far in this season, we've seen a lot of teams bring that to the table, and it's been so effective so many times. Lots of upsets, but again, I love how much, I wouldn't say they're relying on it, but I'll certainly say that it's allowing them to be a little bit more bolshy with it, a little bit more aggressive when they want to be.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's like having just a dock that you can always rely on, not one of those docks that just goes, oh, I'm saving my stims because I'm going to go for a spawn peak, and then you just don't have any heals for the rest of the round. It's like a dock that is going to be there, it can help you, and it's just a nice little bonus to have, as she's got really good guns as part of her kit, some nice secondary utility as well. It's just an all-around solid choice, especially if you want to play quite hard in the objective and you have that sort of additional operator space available.
Absolutely. So far, about nearly a minute has gone already, and it's a very slow approach to this top floor on the side of Nemesis. They are going to go for a southern push, which, I respect it, because again, it's all about getting that map control and potentially going for the flank clear, that roam clear first, before you make that execute towards the side. It's a very safe way of going about this attack, to be honest. It's just, again, I'm really hoping that they are mindful of the time here and they don't get caught off guard by, oh no, we've only got 20 seconds left and we're just still dilly-dallying around Vault or something.
Sasha is basically entering on the Thermite, has already lost a lot of HP, but it's going to be Natty to go down first. So that's going to be Yellow to get the kill. Sassy just jumping on down. That's going to be the Diffuser lost at the bottom of those red stairs, as Yellow is going to get a double kill. Toxic Barbie is going to get the refrag and recover the Diffuser. That's just not the start that you want. Natty going down as well is going to be difficult for them to deal with, as Stelina has also gone down, but like we were mentioning before, those Thunderbirds, they're just passive utility that will stay there for the rest of the round unless Nemesis are able to get on in and destroy them. Ricebell Chen has got a little bit of control over towards bathroom, but with no support here really holding down the master bedroom flank in that doorway, you can't exactly go for the wall and apply pressure in the same way as you would typically see, especially when there is a Kaid on the board as well. You can just quickly throw one of those electricals down and deny any of that hard breach utility that could come through.
Absolutely, and again, this is the aggression from both sides that I'm talking about. It's so sporadic at times. Toxic Barbie, however, going to get the pick onto Apache, and that is also Skylia falling to Riceball Chen. So now it's all left down to Yazia here, and that plan is being stuck firmly and promptly by Toxic Barbie, not a second too soon in that beautiful statue position. This is going to be an interesting one. A 1v3 Expolitan on the tiniest bit of health. Can Yazia go for this retake? This has to pick them off one by one. She gets the one. She gets one Toxic Barbie. Can she get the other two? Again, Riseball Chen on the tiniest bit of health there. Ironically, not trying to hunt out the Thunderbirds herself for that extra little bit of health boost.
Yeah, and that's going to be the kill going the way of the Oryx. I was thinking, Riseball Chen, you know, if they're able to get a kill onto Riseball Chen, then that makes it quite safe to go for the disable because of where it was planted. It was tucked behind the far side of the statue. You could just kind of squid yourself into the corner and be really difficult to be taken down by the sledge. Ultimately, she chose to take the fight onto the sledge first, and that exposed the backside to that flank from the Hibana, and that's going to be NEMESIS now getting round number 5, just 2 away from being able to secure this one, Grace, and we're going to see the Gypsy Queens go back to the same objective.
Yeah, which... Okay, that was interesting. So they brought the Cap Cannon and 6 onto the Pulse. Again, a very situational kind of operator, though, Dino. You've got the C4 on the Pulse. Presumably, Kaid will have a C4. I am assuming Malusi will have a C4. Yep, there we are. So that's 3 C4s with that Pulse scanner as well. It's not just about giving the intel for those C4 kills to come through. It's also about wondering where that push is going to come from. So I'm wondering how they're going to play this, where Skylia is going to be positioning herself. Is she going to be underneath and scanning into the external parts of this map to see if they're, you know, pushing towards bedroom first, or is she going to be all the way down in art, as an example, checking out how the study take is going, if they go for that again? That is really what we want to be seeing here. We want to be seeing how much Gypsy Queens read into that last round. Certainly because they're going to this site yet again. And you don't want to risk it, do you, Dino? You don't want to risk it at all.
Absolutely not. But I think that this kind of line of thinking is coming through because the Oryx in the previous round wasn't contested at all until she chose to get into those fights in the final few seconds. That means that this whole downstairs control is very, very safe, or they're assuming is very, very safe for the defenders to play with that pulse available. You can scan, find out those heartbeats, and get those C4s from down below while they're trying to go for their setup. But it looks like Skylia might be getting involved into a nice early fight, as we are seeing the sledge start to try and take control. We are going to see Malusi get downed, not out just yet. I'm not entirely sure where those bullets came from.
No, me neither.
Was that Nadi upside down rappel on the Astro window through the Astro hatch? It can't be. Potentially. Want to get confirmation on that as soon as possible, please, production. But I mean, well, look at this. Skylia waiting patiently for that jump in through that window. But I think Sasha is slightly onto her right now. It's again, it's the impact this has on the round on the basis of just wasting time, to be honest. It's an oldie but a goldie. See, I said it properly this time. Yeah, finally.
An oldie but a goldie. And...
How many years have I known you?
I've always said an oldie but a goodie.
Yeah. Oh, this could go so badly. The timing, the swing around, it's going to be the pulse to win the fight. The UMP takes down the sledge. Oh, she's wishing she had the SMG-11 right now, as that would have been a much easier fight for the sledge to take the timing. Toxic Barbie on ADS is right as Stelina peaks, and that is going to be the round starting to go the way of the Gypsy Queens. And Stelina is able to get another one onto Riseball Chen. It's just Nadi and Expolitan. Expolitan's under a lot of pressure. Stelina on with the triple kill now. And it's just Nadi left alone in the 1 versus 5. 3 players are on very low health, so there is the potential that something could happen here, and this could get a lot closer than we're anticipating. But Nadi doesn't know that. Is going to have to go into these fights head first with very little time left.
Yeah, I mean, this is the part where realistically I think Nadi's just going to hang out there and maybe just a little bit of a tactical timeout, but no, Yazzie is going to get aggressive with it and try and push her and ultimately fall down there. Of course, when you're on the tiniest bit of health as they are, can be a little bit unfortunate. She gets a second onto Stelina as well. Will she go for the remaining 3 players of Gypsy Queens, or will she just continue to play this safe? Sometimes the bait and switch works. Sometimes it really does. They know that she's going to be applying pressure to the bedroom, potentially the closet area too. We see that pulse scanner underneath as well, ready and waiting to give that intel to the rest of their team. And there we go. Yellow is going to get the pick to finish that off. Gypsy Queens hanging on by the skin of their teeth, Dino.
I mean, that was just a beautiful triple kill coming through from Stelina, just basically turning around, going full John Wick mode and just dropping heads left, right, and center. And yeah, that could be the bit of motivation, the bit of oomph that Gypsy Queens need to be able to start getting back on into this one as Nemesis. We're beginning to look like they could pull away, despite the rocky start that they themselves had had. But seems like that statue trophy site is just really good for Gypsy Queens, attack or defense.
Yeah, absolutely. Gonna go back to Aviator Games now, though, which again could be a little bit hit or miss. They are going to bring the Aruni out, not the Thunderbird this time, though, Dino, not the Thunderbird, which again, considering how much they have been getting tagged up, especially these last 2 rounds, and how much we saw that Thunderbird utility actually do some work, that overheal, healing them back up, it really did help them, especially when they're getting more aggressive. So I'm slightly worried that if they get aggressive here again without that overheal and without that kind of, not crutch, I guess, is what I'd say, that reliance on something that can just give them a little top up, this could be quite interesting in that regard, but we'll see how they get on with it. They do have 2 C4s as well, but I think that's going to be mostly to deal with any kind of plant that comes through when that execute finally comes through as well. Again, nothing too razzle-dazzly from the setup, really. Obviously, you've got the Arunis to prevent any kind of aggressive stampede up through 90 in places like that, but again, a bit of utility from the side of the attackers will be able to deal with that easily.
Yeah, it's interesting to note a couple operator changes, or operator utility changes that have come through, so that those Rook armor plates, they no longer deal like a complicated amount of damage reduction and all the rest of it. It just straight up gives you more health. So we see Stelina on what looks like about 150 points of health, which is quite a terrifying thing to go up against. But then there's also the change that has happened towards Mute, whereby it's no longer a cone of effect going up or a cylinder of effect. It is now a dome. So that means that the Mute Jammer doesn't affect the upper parts of the wall. So using that Mute as wall denial isn't really the best use now, especially when the other team can bring an ace and just, you know, chuck the ace charge at the top of the wall and open it up from there. So going to be interesting to see how those utility changes play into this round, as those are 2 operators we're seeing being brought out by the defense. Nemesis again going for a little bit of a slower take as they're not directly attacking, or quickly attacking I should say, onto that study side.
Absolutely. I mean, it's interesting because again, half the round has gone and we're not seeing the same kind of aggression from either side just yet. But all of this map control has been gained very, very quickly, to be honest, with very little contesting. Again, very, very interesting on the basis of how much the momentum of each round is just shifting constantly. Selena going to get a pick onto Riceball Chen, however, as the opening pick of this round. Yellow's also going to get the nice little kill there onto Expolitan. Whittling down these attackers, despite the fact that they have all of this map control behind them, but ultimately it's that setup, that execute that they seem to be struggling with here.
Yeah, and that is both hard breaches going down, and I don't believe any of those reinforced walls have been opened up, so that's going to make things really difficult. Both nades coming through from Toxic Barbie as well means that this Aruni gate is able to go back on up, and you can't really do anything about it. Got a kill onto 1. The second one peaked around, but the perfect timing coming through from Skylina is going to mean that that kill goes back. We did see Stelina go down in that process, but now it is just Nadi left alone, 1 versus 4. Similar to last round, but this time all the players, barring Skylina even, are on full HP. So that's going to make this really, really difficult for the Twitch. But that's going to be the first kill off a very nice peak. The swings starting to come on through, unaware of the close player, but the Aruni deals or received so much damage, but was actually able to get that kill. That P10 Roni just does so much damage per second.
Absolutely. I mean, Gypsy Queens again pulling this to an even Steven scoreline here, a 5-5. It looked like it was getting a little bit risky for them then, but they're managing to pull it back. Can they pull this to their victory though, Dino? Again, who will get this match point now? Who will get this match point? Because one of them is going to end up on match point. and then it's up to the other one to try and drag it to overtime. This is where things really start hotting up, and this is what I mean about Playday 3, 4, and 5. That's where usually you start to see the spice come through, and certainly we are receiving that spice.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is going to be a new objective for Gypsy Queens to defend. We've not seen them on this one before. We've not seen how Nemesis goes for the attack, but just given the change of pace, the more aggressive playstyle that Gypsy Queens have been going for these last couple of rounds, I expect there to be a lot of fighting going on upstairs, and that Nemesis are going to come out probably worse aware just from the sheer beatdown and peaks and challenges that we're likely to see coming through from players like Yellow, who I just want to point out is up to 14 kills through these rounds. Definite shift being put in there. And Stelina, who has absolutely turned up in the last few rounds, has been very sort of important in getting Gypsy Queens back into this game.
Yeah, 100%. And again, Yellow and Selena have been popping off today, to be honest. You know, like, I think they've certainly had their Weetabix, that's for sure. And from the get-go, they've been getting some really nasty kills onto their enemy, to be honest. But at the same time, I mean, again, Rice Chen is a player on the side of Nemesis who we just see consistently when they're aggressive, they know when to be aggressive, and it works out for them really well. They get these dirty shots, absolutely filthy shots sometimes, just on using their own initiative like that. Expolitan, however, going to get the opening pick for the side of Nemesis this time, not Rice Chen, taking down Yellow, so Yellow won't be able to collect any more of those kills, adding ever more to her already pretty decent stats here.
Yeah, the yellow ping coming through as well did indicate that one of the players was sitting behind the counter inside of Astro, but the coordination wasn't quite there to go for the pinch. Toxic Barbie wasn't set up in place to be able to support, so Zia is just going to be able to get on a way home safe and just avoid that conflict. But this does mean now that Nemesis have that top floor control, and they're going to be able to start using this buck to open up these lines of sight. Now, are they going to fall for the same trap that we saw Gypsy Queens fall for, where they waste too much time upstairs and have to scramble in the last few seconds to go for the push? I really hope not.
Yeah, that would be unfortunate. But again, look how much self-destructibility is just coming through here. If you are on that kitchen site right now, you are screaming. You are trying to get away from those holes of death is the only way I can describe it. Oh my goodness gracious me. It's very difficult to be in a situation like that because you either have to get aggressive on those vertical holes that are created, or you have to just completely come off site pretty much.
Yeah, but about 35, 40 seconds has been spent, and all that's happened is now Rice Chen has died to Yazia. So this has been pulled back into an even man count, and the time isn't getting any longer for Nemesis. Things are only going to have to start speeding up, as Skylayer is in a position to go for the flank. Expolitan perfectly timed that kill onto Stelino, just waiting in the right position, as we are seeing the Kaid sitting close. That AK-12 deals so much damage, and a couple extra shots into the body for good measure. Want to make sure that they can come up from behind and get you later on, as Skylayer is going to get that kill onto Natty through the pre-open holes. He's there sitting inside the site, trying to look over the top of Tetch to see if they can deny the plant, but it's not going to be the case. Expolitan going to stand up, but Toxic Barbie with the team kill, denying the ace for Expolitan, as the plant now needs to be stuck. Skylayer coming in on the flank. The plant is in a position where Skylayer can stop it, but no, too late. The plant has gone down successfully by Toxic Barbie, but the sledge isn't in the right position to be able to deal with this. The Malusis are going to slow her down. She needs to get round, but she comes off the plant. Skylayer is able to get that final kill, and is going to win the round for Gypsy Queens, sticking the disable now. That's going to be the Gypsy Queens going up to match point.
Absolutely. I mean, if that was a little bit too spicy at the end there. That could have gone either way for sure. Goodness gracious me. That plant getting stuck, literally the skin of their teeth there, but ultimately Gypsy Queens pulling that to match point, and now the pressure really is on for Nemesis because they have to secure this next round or they've lost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how it works when it's a 1st to 7 and one team's on 6. You have to win, otherwise you lose. It's a stunning concept, really. Maybe they should make a game about it. But yeah, I'm just saying.
Well, adding to that layer of salt, Dino, we are gonna see Natty bring the lion out. Which again, match point, I suppose that is the time you want to go for something that risky, you want to go for something that bolshy, but this will really determine, again, well, I'd say really determine, it will low-key kind of predict how this attack is going to come. If you're taking something like a lion, it's because you're going to give immediate pressure to that site. There's going to be a very fast collapse come through. You know, 9 times out of 10, you don't really hold on to that utility until the end of the round. If they do, I'd be quite surprised. But again, I'm expecting a relatively quick approach to this. Maybe they'll go for just a direct bedroom take this time, to be honest, Dino.
Yeah, hopefully. That was what really worked out well for Gypsy Queens on the attack, and Nemesis didn't really have a way to deal with it. So I would have thought that that would have been something that we would have seen done in reverse. That, just straight attacking bedroom, able to get a lot of that control, works well, and is a good strategy to use. But it's not been the case so far. Nemesis wanting to go for these big long clears where they don't have the ability to really deny flanks in the same way as you would if a Nomad were available. And it plays into the aggression that Gypsy Queens want to bring. They can stretch their legs, attack across the map, and really be a nuisance.
Speaking of nuisance, that intel utility really revealing that indeed Yazia is on that roam somewhere. So now Yazia is going to have to go for a massive rotate and presumably start holding again towards Astro Stairs, which we do see her doing. Nadi on Pig Window right now. Again, this is an ideal place for that Lion utility. You want to be relatively close to site so you can pop that drone for the collapse, and I think that's really good going. I just want to see that happen. If you're gonna bring that utility, you've got to be fast and furious with it. So we see this setup now starting to form around site. Expolitan getting aggressive on Trophy Door there. There is the Aruni Gate, but they do have the Ayana there to deal with it if they need it, which presumably Toxic Barbie will send out that Gemini clone very soon.
Stallion lost a lot of HP in that engagement, but thanks to his Rokama Place is still alive and kicking and able to take challenges onto this doorway. That 2x scope on the MP5 going to put her a little bit of an advantage over the attackers that are trying to force their way on through. Expolitan going to swing on around. The pre-fire is going to come on out, and that's going to be the first kill of this round, coming in at less than a minute 25. So it's going around. The Kaid is going to swing back and get the kill onto Expolitan and drop the diffuser inside of the objective. Nadi trying to look around and see what she can find. The Kaid still sitting back, trying to go for those fights and swing at the right time with the attackers. Sashi throwing a nade on in. Didn't necessarily see where Yellow was playing, so Yellow is going to go for a bit of a reposition anyway and see if she can get the element of surprise on over, as Nadi has lost so much health trying to get aggressive and trying to work her way on into the objective. She's recovered the diffuser as Yellow gets taken down by the sledge. 4 versus 3 now. Nemesis very close to being able to pull this one into overtime.
Yes, indeed, and there we go. There is that plant coming through. Skyly is going to get caught off guard as they try and go towards that breach wall to get the pick there. But Nadi is going to fall to Yazia ultimately as well. Skyly is going to get finished off by Riceball Chen. Riceball Chen is going to then be taken down by Nadi. It is Yazia rather. It's all left down to Toxic Barbie now in a 1v2 with the defuse going off as well. Needs to really get a run on with it here, but that's so unfortunate that the tiniest bit, Dino.
And that Kaid was on like about 5 health. If she just tapped that elbow once, that would have been overtime, and Nemesis potentially with the option to bring this one back, but it's not going to be the case. Yellow with a well-deserved MVP, as that's going to be 14 kills for her. And just a great performance all around coming through from Gypsy Queens.
No, 100%. I mean, to be fair from both teams there, I will say, like, both teams played that really well. Again, a few little bits that need adjusting here and there, but for the most part, Gypsy Queens absolutely brought the thunder towards the end there. They pulled it back so well. And yeah, ultimately there can only be one winner, and a 7-5 victory is still a decent victory as well. It shows, I think, when often you have like a 7-5 or something, it shows that it was actually a lot closer than you think. Yes, it didn't go to overtime, but that still is a very close scoreline. And on the side of Gypsy Queens, they've got to feel very good right now. We aren't actually going to have an interview with them. However, I don't think they were able to put someone forward this evening. So sadly, we cannot talk to them and see how they're actually feeling. But I'm sure they will inform people on social media as to how they're feeling anyway. Yeah, that was a nice start to the evening, Dino. A very nice start indeed.